Today, we are truly blessed and honored to have with us a towering personality in the world of Vedic astrology, a scholar, an astroscientist, and a spiritual guide whose work has transformed the very foundation of modern astrological understanding. Our speaker for the day is none other than Dr. U.K. Jha ji, the Honorable Chancellor of our Yoga Samskruti Religious University, USA. Dr. Jha's journey is extraordinary. An IITN engineer by training, a philosopher by reflection, and a pioneering Vedic astrologer by profound calling. He is one of the rare masters who seamlessly blends the precision of scientific logic with the depth of spiritual wisdom. With over 4 decades of experience, Dr. Jha has redefined and reinterpreted core pillars of Vedic astrology. His groundbreaking contributions include reshaping our understanding of classical yogas, offering fresh clarity on planetary aspects, transforming the study of solar return charts, revisiting the very principles of exaltation and debilitation of grahas, and advancing the use of multiple dasha systems with unprecedented precision and many more. It is for these unparalleled contributions that he is lovingly and respectfully known as the Emperor of Dasha Systems, the King of Transit Techniques, and the Teacher of Teachers, the Astrologer of Astrologers. His influence is vast. Dr. Jha has authored numerous authoritative books, conducted workshops across the country, and contributed more than 100 scholarly essays that continue to shape and elevate the global astrological community. Through his relentless research, inspiring teaching, and innovative methodologies, he has empowered thousands of astrologers and seekers worldwide. Today, we have the privilege of learning directly from this luminary, a master whose insights bridge the ancient and modern, the logical and the intuitive, the scientific and the spiritual. We are deeply honored to have Dr. U.K. Jha sir with us. Namaste, sir. We request you to start with your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you, Kiran bhai, and good evening to all the friends who are here. I welcome them, all of you, on behalf of Yoga Sanskritam University and the Yoga Sanskrit Foundation, Vedic Foundation. Kiran bhai has told you too many things about me, which frankly speaking, I myself was not knowing about me. So I am thankful again to Kiran bhai. At least she could give me a feeling that I know a little of the astrology. Because claiming to be a man of knowledge in any subject is not a healthy practice as people are doing, because knowledge in any field, in any subject, is simply oceanic, and nobody can measure the depth of the ocean. Nobody can know the subject fully. Today, I feel honored that Foundation, Yoga Sanskrit Vedic Foundation, has given me an opportunity to speak on this and occasion among the august gathering of you all. And when I was asked to select a topic of my own, then I was frankly speaking bewildered. I was at a fix, because I know that all the people you are here are very knowledgeable astrologers. There will be nothing that I will be speaking will be new to you. So I had to take some time to decide as to on which topic I must speak that will be able to extract interest from you. And then, after giving a long thought, I made the topic as danger to academic astrology from the atavistic astrology. This word atavistic may be new to many people, so you can refer dictionary also, and I am telling you its meaning. Atavistic is that something which has come up from the traditional source, carrying the currents of dogmas also. So, our academic astrology has a foundation always on scientific side, but there are many things which have started now coming in the stream of astrology, which if you test on the anvil of rationality, you may find that it is lacking the brass test of scientific parameters. And somehow or the other, that is now getting prominence since last at least 1 decade. And currently it is at its peak. There are many things that we think that it is true, it is real, it is factual, but often they are not. For example, to dismay of all of you, I would like to say that our classical Indian astrology is being called Vedic astrology. But if you ask the scholars how it is Vedic, because if you rummage not through the page, but through the recharge and the words, you will find that except for the mention of few nakshatras, Veda doesn't speak anything about the principles of astrology that we read, we use, we apply, and which we often try to relish about. None of the Vedas have these principles. Yet we are calling it Vedic astrology instead of calling it traditional Indian astrology or classical Indian astrology. Here again, please don't get shocked that I would not elaborate on it. For that portion, you all are welcome to join me on different session at different forum. But here I am telling you that you all will be surprised to know, many even be disappointed, that Vedas are not Indian. Although the Vedas, Richas, are written on Prakrit frame, which has been later Sanskritized, but a critical analysis explains that it is from the land beyond the India. At least beyond the India, which is known in our history. Because in olden days, the territory was not defined very clearly. I will give you 2, 3 examples only, and then I will cut off from this topic just to convince you. And then I will come how the confusion come and why it is called Vedic. We don't have any word for kangaroo in any of the Indian language, be it Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Punjabi, Tamil, Telugu, Odia, Bangla. There is no word for kangaroo. You can check yourself. Why it is not there? Because kangaroo is not an animal of our land. So we don't have a word for it. There is another word. In English it is camel, in Hindi it is oont. Sanskrit word is ooster. You will not find much word for this in any of the language of India, because this animal has come from other land. Similarly, in Veda, you will find the word for horses, ashwa, but you will not find any word for elephant in Veda. Other day, in a session I was speaking, and when I told this thing, some people protested, no, there is there. I told him where. Then they said, this is in Sri Sukta. And they quoted Hastinada Pramodani. I told him, you are using wrong word. Goddess Mahalakshmi is not delighted by the sounds of the elephant, by the trumpets of the elephant. Hasti is wrong word. It is Hastanada Pramodani. Hastanad means clappings. That means Veda was at a place where there was no elephant, but in Indian subcontinent, everywhere elephant is found. Second example, in Indian continent, people, that Ashwatat, that tree is considered very sacred. Even in English, it is called sacred fig. There is another word for it, bo tree. That bo tree has come from bodh vrikshi, vriksh or vriksh. How you pronounce it in South? We say vriksh, you say vriksh there. We say grik, you say gruk. But in Veda, you will not find a single word for people. Like there is another word for rice. Actually, this English word rice has come from Tamil word. The chawal in Hindi. You will not find a word in Veda. Even the Sanskrit word tandul has come from the language family, Agni language family, that is the mother of the South Indian language, the word language. It has come from there. You can check. All those who are the scholars of language science, they know this. So absence of all these things, because on whichever puja we are going worship, we always use tandulam as akshat. But Veda is lacking this word. All this show that this great epic or the scripture was at a land where these things were not available. But in India, it is available in plenty. Now I am not elaborating here. Now come to how this confusion came, that our classical astrology, Indian astrology, is called Vedic astrology. The common thing which is even in Veda and in our culture is yajna. Yajna. Now there is a difference between the yajna of Veda and the yajna that was being done in India. But word yajna is there. And what yajna needs? Yajna needs a chat, a space. Someone who knows how the yajna is done, and the someone who is performing the yajna. Classical Indian astrology is based on this principle. You have a chhatra called bhava. You have an owner or doer of the chhatra. That is called bhavesh, the lord of the sign. And there is a knower of the chhatra or field, a knower of the field. That is called significator, karaka. So this bhav, bhavesh and karaka are the foundation stones and pillars of our astrology. Now coming to the point, please note down half an hour is there for question and answer session. Some of the queries I would like to meet today itself. Nowadays, many techniques of future telling have suddenly sprung up from nowhere. I don't want to mention any technique by name that will unnecessarily create controversy. We have to apply our own wisdom to understand all these things. We'll have to think why these things were not mentioned in our original classical texts, which has now emerged as a new field or branch of astrology, just to touch, not to hurt. I am naming one, which is becoming very popular, that is called nakshatra astrology. But if you carefully read Brihat Parasar Hoda Sastra, in the very beginning, I think in the second chapter itself, if I remember correctly, very clearly it is mentioned that go elsewhere to collect the knowledge about the nakshatras. What does this mean? That nakshatras have not been attached with much importance in our classical Indian astrology. Again, I will not elaborate here because these things become very shocking. And my purpose is not that here. My purpose is only, I gave this background to know the history. History is a very important subject. History we don't study only to know the stories of the past. History we read specifically to gather understanding and knowledge about the period and the society, the civilization of the contemporary humanity. Astrology too has its history, but unfortunately, now there are scholars who have started telling it came from Babylon, it came from Assyria, it came from Mayan civilization. like Aztec and Mexico. And many people have many things. Some people are telling it came from China. I strongly contest all these arguments because, except for our religion, that is Sanatan Dharma, and in this university, we are here to promote all traditional knowledge. But our specific area of interest is the subjects related to Sanatan society or the Sanatan Darsana. I will not call it Dharma. Dharma is a very recent word. Once the Sanskrit language developed. So Sanskrit is also a very recent language. Hardly, you can say, 1,012 years old. It is a myth that we are claiming that it is very old. No. In none of the excavations, we have got the archaeological proof of this language. All that we have is merely literatures. And literature is not a solid proof of history. So our astrology has a very strong history. And why it is Indian? Because it is based on the karma principle also. And karma is deeply pitched in the concept of rebirth. Except for our Sanatan Darshan, this concept of rebirth is not very popular. And in astrology, we try to read about the karma phala, that is the effects of the deeds done in previous birth. So all those civilizations who are not very much, you can see, followers of the concept of rebirth, astrology cannot evolve from there. Because in whichever technique of astrology across the world you go, ultimately we are talking about the karma phalas also. So it is wrong to say, or they are propagating wrong things, that astrology came to India from Greek, Babylon, Assyria, Asia Minor, or from Sumerian civilizations. Cannot be true, because in none of their culture the rebirth or the theory of rebirth is there. This itself proves the antiquity and independence or independent existence of our classical Indian astrology. Now, question comes to why should we read astrology? That is more important. People make many types of arguments about the use of astrology. The use comes later. First, we must know why should we know this science, astrology. What it is going to give us. And I can tell you, this science is definitely not developed for future telling. Future telling is a byproduct of this science, which has by default now become the main product of this science. Astrology is primarily meant to enable us to know our own self, to help us in conscience search, to help us in self exploration, to enable us to proceed firmly on the golden road of self realization, Atma Darshan or Atma Sakshatkar. Added to this, astrology up that is on the lower surface of that self-realization, on the lower surface of the astrology, that is called esoteric astrology. On exoteric side, on the outer surface, also astrology provides us the best knowledge of psychology. Many of you may be surprised to know that a very great and world famous renowned psychologist C.G. Jung, Carl Gustav Jung, who was a disciple of another great psychologist, Sigmund Freud. So C.G. Jung has written at one place that many of the psychological problems, because he was a person of clinical psychology, which he could not solve, even his teacher could not solve. He could solve that problems once he returned from India after learning Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology means our classical Indian astrology. So it's a very good tool to understand, to know about a person. After looking at his horoscope, at the very first glance, you can know many things about the person. And those things are not given in the books of psychology also. When we find that some person is very whimsical in nature, a blow hot, blow cold type of person, psychology tries to understand it through the behavioral pattern of the person. They take some time to study the behavioral pattern. But from the horoscope, from the first look, you can say the person is of this type. Because when we'll start mixing the gunas and tattvas of the planet, of the sign, many things come out. This is not in other branch of astrology like Western astrology or Chinese astrology. And these things are patently ours. These were the findings of our receipts. So astrology's first purpose is to know this. Now the topic is what danger is there? Because academic astrology, nobody is trying to learn now. I have met many people, I have number of students. When someone comes to me, his first reaction is that Vedic astrology is not giving result. But our this technique, that system, many things, I don't want to be particular by naming anyone, is giving. I am telling, asking them one question. Is something which has come as a dewdrop from astrology has become so efficacious, and the entire system you are rejecting for that mere one dewdrop? So this is propaganda. Many times we don't know a speaker who is talking on a particular topic is biased, or he has been asked to speak on that topic under certain deal. And because of the eloquence and the convincing power of the speaker, very often we become convinced because we don't apply our own mind, our own logic. And I can tell you that the biggest Shastra of the rishis is the Tark Shastra. Only Indian rishis, munis, manishis were having the guts to promote questioning. In all other systems, religious or otherwise, philosophical, you will find that the acharyas, the experts, the masters are telling, you believe what I say, and if you will ask much, then I will do something that your head is rolled off from your shoulder. I don't want to name all those things, those sampradayas. I don't call them religion. But only Indian rishis, munis, manishis, savants, scholars encourage their student. Question. Come on, question. Put your question. Jigyasa. Don't accept me. They never told that believe me what I say. They never stressed that I am right or I am right. They always said, you think upon it, you ruminate over it, continuously ponder over it. Be sure, satisfied that it works. Otherwise, reject it. And in that matter, I consider Gautam Buddha, which was the 28th Buddha in that Buddha clan. Again, this will be a new knowledge for many of you, that Gautam Buddha was the 28th Buddha. And the names of many Buddhas earlier to him and his stupas have not only been discussed by Fahian, Wenshan, Kitsing, etc., but now they have been archaeologically found out in India also. And Buddha said, you believe not because I am telling you. Believe not because it is in your family tradition. Believe not it because it has been told by your family teachers. Believe not because it has been told by your elders. Test it. try it, verify it, be satisfied, then accept. Our classical Indian astrology is based on the same system. But teachers are not elaborating the basics, the first principles from where the effects are derived. And as a result of that, we start by mistake feeling that the books have given effects or results. No, in none of our classical astrological texts, results have been given. Only few probabilities out of the nth number of n number of probabilities have been given. And no, it is for the teacher to make the students understand how those few effects, 1, 2, or 3 have been given, and how another 300 effects can be found out. That is not being taught. Because of this, all these ephemeral systems, that 1 minute, one technique type of things, have cropped up. And they are now posing danger to the true knowledge that is possessed in our classical Indian astrology. That's why it is a propaganda that Vedic astrology doesn't give results. It is a different thing that our system has also been corrupted. And I will not go into the deeper side of that, how the impact of Yavana has spoiled our system, our knowledge, our science, our culture, and our society. That we'll keep it for some other day, other lecture, if the time will permit, because time is running fast. So what I am telling, that that type of conspiracy is still going on. We don't know from where it is springing up. We don't know who is sponsoring it, but that is there clearly and visibly. It is not, it doesn't look good to give the name. Other day, all of my students are mostly of very senior level. He was telling me, sir, Tithi gives very good results, but I am failing to find out the timing from the Tithis. I told him that you are a God-blessed person. So you are getting very good results from Tithi itself. Because it is only our system which has its basics. It has its fundamental principles. There is a process of working, process of evaluation, process of deriving the effect, and process of coming to a conclusion through a set of analysis and synthesis. That is not there in 1 minute, one technique, accurate result. For example, there is a technique very common, although the author of that book was very close to me, and one of his very famous book, when he was writing it, he was discussing in length, because those days I was frequently coming to Bangalore, and our lots of products were ordered and few industries in that. I think there is one side, Pinia Industrial Estate in Bangalore, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So now they are telling if Sun is after Jupiter, the father will be a very great personality, or the native will get born in a very elite family. Question that nobody asks, which Jupiter and which Sun? Because only our system has the instruments and methodologies to know that this Jupiter is what type of Jupiter, this Sun is of what type of Jupiter. Naturally, when so many details are available in our system is also very vast. Nobody is interested in going through the books. So they simply run over to other systems, running in various names like Kashyap, Jha, Bhrigu, Changu, Mangu, anything. Those are not techniques. Techniques are techniques. One Kashyap is visible to me now. Harish Kashyap. So these are not the techniques. Our subject is a very sound technique and we will have to read it very carefully. But when our system was spoiled, the astrology was made a very condensed course even for 1 year, and in 1 year Acharya course, even in the Sanskrit institutions. Whereas the astrology should have been taught minimum for 3 years, even in those days. Another thing that you may consider and think over it, that none of our mathematicians have written Phalit Jyotish or Jatka, be it Brahmagupta, be it Bhaskaracharya, be it Aryabhata, or name anyone. You will not find a book written by them because our system has many occult parameters. Our astrology is not a detailed astronomy. Example is Bada Meher, who has written a book on Phalit and who was a mathematician also. But whether there was any Barahmir or not, in actuality in the history is debated. Brahmir's existence itself is questionable. I will not elaborate on this part because there should be many things for you and I am keeping many things for me for sometimes some other time when I will meet in some other lecture. So our system has many occult part also. That's why it has two phases, esoteric and exoteric. The esoteric astrology is more important because it enables us to understand ourselves and the man who has come to us for getting his chart read. Then comes the exoteric things. And all these types of systems that is emerging from this source or that source, I am doubtful, I am sure, rather I have doubts that they are being sponsored by some source to continue the damage. And all those techniques are atavistic in nature. Whereas our academic astrology is detailed, pragmatic, giving us many options. Even it tests our abilities, our intelligence of analysis and synthesis, depending on that planetary gulf of the chart. So it is called Rasi Chakra or Janma Chakra. Actually, its original actual name is Ahi Chakra or Rahu Ketu Chakra. Rasi itself has been made from Rahu Sikhi. It is a truncated version. From Rahu, Ra has been taken. From Sikhi, Si has been taken, and the word Rahu has been. As from Ahoratra, Hora has been made. You all know. And the knowledge of Rahu, having a concept of Rahu, invites one point sharp intellect. Whatever you find in the book is merely something to guide. But unless and until you don't apply your mind and you don't start pondering ponderously, you will keep on ramming yourself on the parapet of research search, effect search. Except for our system, nobody, no system is telling us to move systematically. See, your prediction may go wrong because when you are talking of astrology, you are forgetting that you also have a potential in your chart. If you have become an astrologer, there is something in your chart that you are here. That chart also shows what will be your ability, the inherent potential on the turf of future telling, making predictions. You have to see whether accuracy will come for you only in telling the past or in telling the future. Very rarely. Few horoscopes are there where you will find that the native has ability to predict both past and future with considerable degree of accuracy. It may also happen that you will become a very good scholar of the subject, understanding its philosophy, knowing everything. But at the time of prediction, it falters because his chart shows that he doesn't have this potential. After all, what is prediction? How it comes accurately? Because of your sixth sense, which is invading. Every horse has uncountable number of portfolios. It is because of the sixth sense that immediately it attracts to an, yes, this is going to happen. It is not that easy. Like the way people come on this TV screens and other things and they start telling, yes, this, that, blah, blah. Yesterday you took a bath about 9:30 and tomorrow you will have early breakfast at 7:15. Maybe bread and toast with butter. This type of thing is not in astrology. Astrology is not the solution of all of your problems, but it can guide you among all of your problems. And that is the greatness of this science. And that science I feel personally, after my 45 years of involvement in this field, that it is in danger. This mushrooming growth of unscientific techniques are simply directed to damage this science. This was my topic today, and I don't know how far I have been able to convey my feelings, but I think all of you, when you will think over it, at one point of time, today or tomorrow, you will realize this because it is my gut feeling that some conspiracy which was started during the days of Yamnaj, 78 AD, 78 BC, and it is continuing sublimely surface. Thank you. Now, if anyone have any question, please try to test me. I hope I will be able to pass your test.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful session and your pearls of wisdom, starting from what is Vedic text and what they contain, covering Bhava, Bhavesha, Karaka, the pillars of astrology, throwing light on Sarnatana Darshana, the origination of astrology. Astrology is why is it primarily meant for, and it's usually meant for our own self exploration. The psychology of a person can be learned immediately by first looking into the chart. Enlightenment on Buddhas and the difference between esoteric and exoteric astrology, misconceptions on tithis and nakshatras, teaching us that we become astrologers because we are destined through our charts, and the intuition is very important for an astrologer, the gut feeling. It's not a predictive science, but a guiding science. And finally, your message is very clear that we need to apply our own logic and wisdom and let astrology guide us through our inner clarity.